Good evening, dear all brothers and sisters. First, I wish everyone have a peaceful evening and enjoy the Dharma talk tonight. I consider this is the last Dharma talk on live stream on Friday night because next Friday night we get back together in person outside the Buddha hall, outside the meditation hall. And now, please allow me to invite the sound of the bell and pray for everyone continue to live in peace, in harmony and happiness. Nghe chuông phiền não tán mây khói, ý lặng thân an miệng mỉm cười, hơi thở nương chuông về chánh niệm, vườn tâm hoa tuệ nở xinh tươi. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Good evening, all brothers, sisters. Tonight, I would like to share some of my thoughts on the topic deep listening, right thinking, and effective applying. So listening, right thinking, and effective applying. This is a basic foundation for a Buddhist practitioner or mindfulness practitioner. We should learn and develop these skills. First, I would like to remind myself and all of you that based on the teaching of the Buddha, that everyone have a capability to be an active listener like Buddha. What do I mean about active listener? That is, listen with the wholeheartedly and go into the deep conversation. You really be there for whoever you interact with. I think this is really easy to say, but it's not easy to practice because we have a strong habit to judge, to react, to answer back immediately, include myself. I have to admit it. But we have to trust ourselves. We have to believe in ourselves. That is, we are able to train ourselves to be an active listener as much as possible. And I want to share with you my story. This is some of my first story when I entered in monastic life in Vietnam. I was very impressive, and I feel very fortunate to live nearby a senior monk back then. This monk, he does not talk much compared to the other monks. And one evening, I was accidentally to offer the tea to him. Actually, that's my duty. Every night we take turn to offer the tea, show love, respect to the senior monk in the guest room. Back then, I was not ordained monk yet, just a novice, training to be a monk. And just happens offer the tea to this senior monk. And in the village nearby the monastery, a transman who seemed to have a psychological issue, and he visited the monastery unexpectedly, and he keeps sharing many stories, jump from this topic to another topic. But it's very surprising me, the senior monk, he just sit there, listen, smile, and just knocking his head and say nothing. It's at least an hour. And that has struck me also. I question myself, how can this monk, he can just sit there and listen to so many crazy stories from this not normal man. I'm sorry to say this, but that's true, because that's he. Later on, I figured out that I know that man, he was diagnosed as schizophrenia. But the main point I want to remind myself, that is, this senior monk, he's still alive in Vietnam. So whenever I have a chance to talk with him on the phone, I always remind that story, because I say, you send me a very strong and significant message to be a monk. That is, we must learn how to be an active or compassionately listener. And I believe that everyone has that capability, but we must take time and practice. And Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh mentioned this many times. And in psychology, in counseling, each therapist have to train themselves to be an active or deep listening. That's a very basic skill, and take time to practice. And this is the way I practice. I use my breath as my anchor, so that I can return whenever I listen to something I like or I dislike, especially something I dislike. This is very important, because something we like, we also react, but that's his positive way. But something we dislike, we react, but in a negative way. Especially currently, many brothers and sisters in our community, they are not happy with the social media, with the news. So it seems they make themselves become unhappy person or angry man, and I feel sorry for them. And I think we have to remind ourselves that we should not react what we hear or what we learn from the others. Just try our best to remain in peace and calm. And secondly, I want to say this: without deep listening, it is impossible to understand the whole story or understand someone you are in the relationship, even relationship between brother, sister, between husband, wife, especially this marriage relationship, listen to each other is very challenging. I see this from my parents. I see it from my brother, my sister-in-law. So I know it's very hard for you, even between teacher and students also. Sometimes we run into a hard conversation and we have to be patient so that we can maintain peace and calm. And this is some tips for myself first, and hope some of you can take it away from tonight. This is sometimes we lose the patience because our friend, or whoever in the conversation, it seems he or she take a lot of time, and we think we don't have enough time to continue the conversation. So usually I say it clearly at the beginning, this is how much time I have in the conversation today. Even with my mom, even with my brother, sister. I have 50 minutes in this conversation. And in psychology, very clearly, in counseling, we have a section 45 minutes, 50 minutes, or even an hour. But we spell out so that we know how much time we have. So people who respect the time, and hopefully he or she allow us to remind time, how much time we have. Secondly, try our best to be specific what we want to say in the conversation. Usually, people, if they're not practice mindfulness well enough, they easily go out of track, jump from this topic to another topic, and then we don't have enough time. So try to stay in the focus. If we're talking about the weather, please talking about the weather. Don't go into the climate. That is easily to confuse yourself. So focus on specifically what we want to talk about. So stay on the right track. Next, be aware of our strong habit. That is, we want to answer immediately. Just hold on. If we have any thought pop up in our mind, just write it down or even try to remember in a short conversation. I think it's not hard for us to do that instead of to respond immediately. Nothing wrong with that, but it's continue to develop your old habit, that is react, and being a mindful, active listener, we suppose not to react or judging immediately. And when we have a conversation with anyone, not only try to listen to the language, the content of the conversation, but try to observe a non-verbal communication, because this is a big part of our daily communication. Sometimes the language is important, but it's not important rather than whatever he or she have not said yet, or facial expression and body language. This is very important also. So the last things in terms of training ourselves to be an active listener, that is, occasionally try to summarize and share with the person you have a conversation with, him or her, what you have heard about the story, so that we can work on the same page and we minimize miscommunication and misunderstanding. This is very common. Or this is what I hear. Or may I ask, clarify about this point? You can summarize based on what you hear, and we can pick up the conversation. That is some tips in terms of training ourselves to be an active listener. After we listen, then we're thinking. That is very makes sense for me. That's when you after you listen to a Dharma talk, even the Dharma talk tonight, or any Dharma talk, listen to any speech, learn any news, we should develop right way of thinking. And this is the Buddha encouraged. This is the wonderful thing in Buddhism. That is, everyone should develop the skill of critical thinking, a right way of thinking. And this is several questions I write down, and I hope you can apply into your daily life. When you hear something, after complete the conversation, going home, or even when, don't think too much when you're driving, okay? When you're driving, just enjoy your driving. When you're going home, meditation, drink the tea, and then recall the conversation you have with your friend, with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend, especially your ex-girlfriend. Then you can question, is this reasonable? And when I say reasonable, I mean reasonable based on the teaching of the Buddha. And the teaching of the Buddha is very significant. Being a Buddhist practitioner, when I ask, is this reasonable? I base on the theory of suffering, of impermanence, and emptiness. For example, if someone, he or she promised something kind of very certainty, very for sure, 100%, and sometimes we have to question about whatever he or she say can be reasonable, because life is changed. And this is the thing I want to share with you about my thought. Some people, they are not happy because they expect the government or all scientists should have a vaccine for coronavirus right now. And they expect all scientists should create the new vaccine, be on time so that make them feel comfortable. But I think all the scientists, they tried their best already, so we should remain in peace and calm and support them, instead to get upset and have an unreasonable expectation. So that is the first question I always ask. Whenever I listen to any conversation, especially when we're talking about the Dharma talk, if I sense that conversation, that Dharma talk, seem a lot of ego, a lot of I in that conversation, I also question about myself. Is this the right person I should trust or follow and listen to him or her? The next question I ask in terms of develop insight. We ask the question to develop the insight practice. We don't ask the question to judge the pupil. So we have to make it clear. Ask the question after you listen to the conversation from anyone. You can't ask the question, does this person have knowledge or credential in the subject he shared with us? For example, if I share with you some of my thoughts on meditation, you have a right to ask the question, does this monk practice sitting meditation every day? And how long he can sit? Does this man really practice living in mindfulness, or just talking and he does not have time to practice? That's a reasonable question. That's not about disrespectful question, but for me, that's a reasonable question. And the last question in this subtopic in terms of develop right way of thinking, and Buddha allows us to ask this also. Even the topic you listen to is wonderful. The Dharma talk you listen to from anyone is amazing, it's wonderful. You still should ask this question. Is this applicable is this benefit to myself or anyone else? It is really funny. Some people, they make several comments. Oh, that's person, that's monk, that's nun, offer a wonderful Dharma talk. And then I asked, could you please share with me what the lesson you learned from that Dharma talk, and is there any way you can apply what you have learned? And most of them, they just stuck. So I think we should ask this question. Even a wonderful theory, but the question is, can we apply this into our daily life, or just listen to and enjoy, but cannot apply? And also be aware of our negative thinking. I remind myself, I should not allow my strong habit focus into being wrong, being right. Even it's right, but it's too much negative, it's absorbed into my heart, into my mind, into my body. That's not good. So my recommendation in the current time, please, whenever you interact with anyone, whenever you read any newspaper, social media, you are in that channel, please be aware of the negative information, because if you receive a lot of negative information, just drag you down and damage yourself. So why we keep hanging out with the negative people? We learn that we love everyone, but we also be aware of our capability. So we should not allow ourselves to carry so much negative. That's not good for you. The people who develop depression, most of the time, they carry a lot of negative energy, including thought, behavior, and action. So even you think very correct, even you think true, even you think that's it right, but it's all negative, that's not good. So just rethink. And finally, that is, after we have a deep listening, right thinking, then the last one is very important. That is, effectively and wisely apply into your daily life. And I think if you learn the good lecture, if you learn the good lesson, but you cannot apply into your daily life, then you cannot benefit. Very simple. So, for example, when I learned the technique of eating in mindfulness, be specific like that. So, monks, nuns at the Tambao Temple, we recite 5 mindfulness trainings or 5 appreciation, contemplation before we eat. Or even we recite in silence, that's fine. But we really be at the moment, focus, appreciate what we have. That is make me feel really good. I'm thankful to have every single meal in my life. And I really enjoy what I have in front of me. So applying is very important. Turn on the light. We also remind ourselves we should get the light from the teaching of the Buddha. Turn off the light. We also say good night, but also remind ourselves we should not complain when we see the problems, but we better to find the solution. Do something simple like that. It's still benefit for yourself. When you apply, you must be honest with yourself. Okay? Only you can know how much you apply from what you have learned. You can lie to all the people, but you cannot lie to yourself. So from my understanding, we should be honest with ourselves. And then we be honest with the other people in our family, in our Sangha, in our community. This is the wonderful thing, great lesson, great Dharma talk, but I still cannot apply because of this or that, so that we can learn from each other. And again, when we are failed, should not disappoint yourself, but accept, relearn, and then continue to apply. We should think this is the process of practicing. It's not a final destination. You should not surprise when you see a monk or novice or nuns when they practice sitting meditation and they fall asleep. That is very normal, as long as he or she does not give up what they practice. That's the key. And do little by little, day by day. That is, it's a hard thing, but you should continue to do that. When you put your shoes on yourself, you should be aware of what you are doing. When we are drinking, we know what we are drinking. When we are driving, we know exactly. When I invite the sound of the bell, I also enjoy the sound of the bell, not only just do as my responsibility. No, I truly enjoy. Even lately, the situation allows all monks and nuns and novices stay inside the temple, and we focus on doing the gardening. That is, we really enjoy, and we don't think that's a must thing to do, rather than we apply living in mindfulness. So in daily life, we can incorporate deep listening, right thinking, and effective applying, so that we can see the benefit when we learn Buddhism or we learn mindfulness meditation. In short, I say thank you for all brothers and sisters. Within 2 months, you support and continue to listen to my Dharma talk every Friday night. And as I said at the beginning, next Friday night, we invite all brothers and sisters get back to the new normal routine. That is, start practice sitting meditation outside, because we want to make sure that everyone feel peace and comfortable. So we will set up the chair outside, so we sit on the chairs, and also make sure wear the mask. Even some of you feel uncomfortable, but we encourage it to wear the mask so that we can make the other people feel comfortable, and bring the insect repellent, all right, so that you not worry about mosquito. And if you have any further question, you can send me an email, and I try my best to answer. That's all I have for you tonight. Please enjoy the sitting meditation tonight, and I'm looking forward to see not all of you, because some of you stay out of town, so I hope most of you can join the first session of sitting meditation outside at the peaceful garden nearby the meditation hall at 7 p.m. on Friday, May 22nd, 2020. Thank you very much. Nguyện đem công đức này hướng về khắp tất cả đệ tử và chúng sanh đều trọn thành Phật đạo. Thank you, everyone.